Welcome to the Once Upon a Sunday Fantasy Football Podcast with your hosts, Josh Kimmel, Dave Campbell, and Justin Bowerly.
Sunday Fantasy Football Podcast. Of course, I am your host, Josh Kimmel. We will be talking about the top 30 Dynasty wide receiver rankings today. We have a full show, a lot of discussion, a lot of debates we will probably get into. But before we get started, I have to introduce my co-host, producer Justin, and of course, Cancun Dave. What is going on, guys? How are we feeling today?
Good.
Amazing.
Glad we have Dave here. He's back from Cancun again. He seems to have like season tickets to Cancun.
Hey,
great.
Listen, it's the off season. Dave likes to get his tan on. Dave likes to enjoy the off season. He always tells me, seriously, guys, it's only April. Why are we drafting? Why are we talking about it? You know why? Because the season doesn't end. We have news, we have notes, we have rankings, we have information. But before we get into all that, I want to plug a couple things. Make sure you follow us on Twitter at LUSFFpod. Make sure you go to our individual Twitter accounts at Justin Bowerly. He's blowing up. He's becoming the new hot thing on Twitter. Me, I'm losing followers. That's okay. I tweet one thing about wrestling. Everyone wants to hate on me for it. That's okay. At Josh Kimmel LUS. And of course, at Viking Dave 18 or David 18, one of the two. You can find him anywhere. And make sure you follow the network at Fins Talk Sports Network. None of this would be possible without the Fins Talk Sports Network. And yes, we have a fancy new website. OUSFFpod.com. You can go ahead and look at our rankings live. You can look at our bios if you want, if you're interested in us. You can actually sign up for our Super League 2, which Justin, I'm going to kick it over to you. Explain what the Super League is. Yeah,
Super League is a league I started last year on my own. And I think I talked to you about it. I was like, you know what? I want to do like a 24-person league. Split it into 2 leagues and said I had more interest. 12 more people joined. So we did 36. I don't know what Dave's laughing about. This is not funny. Oh, God. He's probably laughing at our rankings already. This is great. What is going on?
Antonio Brown is a savage.
Oh, okay. So Super League is another charity league. We're doing a best ball league with Fab. So it's a little bit different than just your standard best ball. We have a theme coming up. So if you want to sign up, we're doing slow drafts online, and we're doing 2 live drafts, one in Indy and one in Tampa. You guys are hosting one where Jacob and I are hosting the other. So that'll be fun. We do have a theme. We'll announce the theme later at another show when things get more set. But yeah, all proceeds for this charity fantasy football league is going to go to the Children's Miracle Network through a program called Extra Life. So yes, check it out on our website. There's a whole section for it.
The theme rules, by the way,
yes,
is really awesome. I've already signed up myself. You have to go to OUSFFpod.com for signups. Make sure if you are interested in the Tampa or Indianapolis live draft, let us know. We're going to keep it small. I want to keep it 1 league in Tampa, but if it does expand to 2, I can definitely do that. I don't think we will because it's hot down here, but it's nice and cold up in Indianapolis.
Yeah.
I'm so sick of the summer, by the way.
Also, like, I'm not sick of it yet. Like, it was beautiful the other day for the eclipse. It was 72 degrees out. But yeah, if you even want to sign up and you have 11 other friends that want to do a cool, fun best ball league and you want to host a live draft, let me know and we'll get you set up. But yeah, I'm looking forward. We're trying to expand this thing as much as possible this year.
So without further ado, let's get into our top 30 Dynasty rankings for the wide receiver position. Dave, you did not rank. You did not rank anyone, but that's okay. That's acceptable. You are you're our third eye. You're the person that's going to tell us where we're wrong, where we're right. Constructive criticism would be nice today, Dave. Let's start with the top 2 tiers from this list. We have Justin Jefferson sitting at the 1. We are all consensus on him being the number 1. Jamar Chase, CD Lamb. That rounds up the top 3, the tier 1. Okay, Dave? And then in tier 2, we have Amon-Ra St. Brown, A.J. Brown, Tyreek Hill, Garrett Wilson, and Marvin Harrison Jr.
All right, Dave, what do you think?
I mean, I don't have too many issues with a lot of it. I mean, I feel like the top Marvin Harrison's high, but I mean, he's supposed to be that guy, so I'm not going to argue with it too much. So I don't see a whole lot of issues, to be honest.
Yeah, obviously you get a rookie here in the top 8, which is big. We already threw him into tier 2. All signs are leaning towards him being the guy. So, I mean, he could be top 3 next year. We don't know yet. I am a little hesitant to say where he'll finish at the end of the season just because we haven't actually seen him play football yet in the NFL. We don't know where he's being drafted to, so that's the tough part. That's why he's at 8. This could be low. We don't know. This could also be high.
Yeah, you put him there for potential. Like if you're doing a startup right now, which I have not done many startups this year or last year. I've retired from the startup life, but I assume people are taking Marvin Harrison over some of these guys like a Chris Olave already, or even a Garrett Wilson, because, once it's like a brand new car. Once you drive it off the lot, it loses value. Once the next draft comes along, Garrett Wilson, he used to be the next big thing, but now he's below Marvin Harrison to some people because he is the new shiny toy. That's how people treat draft picks. That's how people treat rookies in general. And I want people to get off of that thinking. I really wish I can have a movement, a big enough voice to let people know, hey, just because the guy's 24 now and not 23 doesn't mean he lost that much value. And just because the guy's coming out and has one extra year behind him in age doesn't mean he's that much better than him. But that's how people look at Dynasty, and it's kind of ridiculous these days. I know Dave has a big problem with that as well. Dave, am I wrong? Am I speaking out of tone here?
About age?
Yeah, just age in general. People just want the new shiny thing.
Well, of course, everything's, it's like, look at these receivers the last couple of years that come out. They've been awesome. So, Justin Jefferson, Chase, they're breaking records every year. Puka. And, I mean, let's say Harrison goes to Arizona. Kyler's a really good player. They have no other competition there besides Trey McBride. And, I mean, he could easily put up 1,500 yards like these other guys have. So I can see it happening. It's hard for me to argue with it.
Yep, very hard. So we have 2 players in the spotlight that we do want to spotlight. That's Jamar Chase and that's CeeDee Lamb. I have Jamar Chase at 2. Justin has him at 3. Jacob has him at 2. So nothing too crazy going on. But the thing is, I have CD at 4. That's the one big issue between the 3 of us that ranked. I'm the lowest on CD. To me, it's splitting hairs, but it's really not because CD's in tier 1. And then my guy, Amon-Ra St. Brown, I have at 3 is in tier 2. So that's the big tier break for everyone right there. Now, am I wrong having Amon-Ra above CeeDee Lamb? Or should I just check myself and go, hey, man, I don't want consistency of Amon-Ra, who averaged, by the way, a finish of 13th. He averaged a weekly finish of 13th last year. That's really good for a wide receiver. CeeDee Lamb, though, has that big potential of 40-point games. We saw it all last year. So, yeah, go ahead, Justin.
Yeah, so I have CD at 2. Obviously, he finished as wide receiver 1 last year, which is my big reason for putting him up here. He is being consistently taken as one of your top 3 wide receivers being drafted this year already, and predicted to be potentially even top 1 or top 2. So reasons why I have CD. Dak Prescott's on a contract year, so he's got to ball out. He's going to be airing it out. Who's that guy that's going to be catching the ball? CD. CD is so consistent in that offense. He's so good. I like Jamar Chase. We all know that I'm also a Bengals fan. I love Jamar Chase over probably the top 10. But who's on that offense now? It's Joe Burrow coming off an injury. You got Jamar Chase, who's in a contract year. But will T. Higgins play for the Bengals this year? Tyler Boyd's not back. They re-signed some tight end. Who else is on that offense? So they're going to only be guarding Jamar. This is where Jamar's going to have to, literally prove that he is the guy and can pull on double coverages, but he wasn't doing that last year. So that is a little bit concerning. I have CD just over Jamar. Like if we're talking points, I'm talking like a 9.5 and a 9.4. It's not a huge gap for me as much as it is for you.
No, I agree with that. It's just my thing with Jamar Chase. If we're gonna pivot over to him, I do have him at 2 because of the same situation you're talking about. We don't know if Higgins is going to be there. He's married, attached to the better quarterback of all these. I believe Joe Burrow's better than Justin Jefferson's quarterback, CeeDee Lamb's quarterback, and Amon-Ra St. Brown's quarterback. I think Burrow's the best quarterback out of all those. But I hate to use the quarterback conversation as a talking point. I think it's lazy. I think it's very lazy to say, for example, I put this out on Twitter today, Justin Jefferson's down because he doesn't have a quarterback. That is so lazy. If you break down the stats, Justin Jefferson was just as good. And I know we'll talk about this with Dave because he's about to go off, but he was just as good with Mullins, Dobbs, and the rest of them bums over there when Kirk Cousins got hurt. Jamar Chase has better upside than an Amon-Ra St. Brown or a CeeDee Lamb, in my opinion, because of what he can do and what we've seen him do. He has many routes he could run. He could run the 9 route. He could run a crossing route. He could run a slant. He can do it all. He's done it all. But he's mainly, and I will say mainly, produced when T. Higgins is on the sideline, when he's hurt. Whereas Jamar Chase is just always balling. I do have some gripes on Chase, but Dave, I want you to talk a little bit.
I don't have much issue with any of these. Like I said, I don't have an issue with any of these guys. JJ's number 1 to me. I mean, you've already explain how he balled with, the worst of the worst last year. He still had 1,000 yards. I mean, the guy had 1,000 yards. He missed 7 games. He had 1,000 yards. He missed 7 games. He's the 3rd player in NFL history to have 1,000 yards in 10 games. Like, he's ridiculous. Chase and Lamb, I could flip a coin on either one. I know you love Amon-Ra, and honestly, I do too. I just can't put him on the other 2 guys. But I mean, he's a stud too. So, I mean, I'm not gonna fight you over you having him at 2. That's your guy. Then you can go with it. I just think the other guys are a little bit better, but that's just it's to me. You're splitting hairs between all 3, all 4 of these guys.
Yep, I agree with that. I just want to break this down. I wish we would got into it. I wish we didn't all have Justin Jefferson at 1. So I put it out there. What's your reasoning why Justin Jefferson's not your 1? And some people are like, most of the people are like quarterback situation. Let me break down the numbers for you. Weeks 14 through 18, when he came back, when he did not have Kirk Cousins, he averaged 100.6 yards per game. He averaged 6.4 catches per game. He averaged 18.62 fantasy points per game in that time. That's with 3 not even quarterbacks that won't even make rosters. Well, they'll make rosters, but they won't even sniff the field. Dobbs, Hall played a game, Mullins, they're all complete bums. Justin Jefferson still did that. Not to mention week 14 when he came back, and I included these with these numbers. I included week 14. He played 18% of snaps that week. He didn't come back full on. He was very limited the first week. So even counting that, he still averaged all that. It's insane. He was a wide receiver 3 when he came back in that time period. I do want to say this about Jamar Chase because I thought this was an interesting stat. Jamar Chase had 6 single-digit games last season. 6 for fantasy points. 6. Justin Jefferson has had 7 since 2021.
That's crazy. He's so good.
I don't know what else to say. I don't know why you people are doubting Justin Jefferson. Nobody is. We all have him at 1. But for you select few who think quarterback's going to be a huge issue, I already see in the chat, it's not, guys. Justin Jefferson's that guy. And he's going to be continuing to be that guy number 1. So, I mean, listen, I love that we're all in sync with our top 2 tiers. But let's move on to our bottom tiers. That's what we do. We go all the way down to the bottom. Tier 5. Justin, hit that intro or that transition. Tier 5 is interesting because these guys are very good. But yeah. There's a lot of good receivers in the NFL. So let me break them down to you. We have Jaden Reed from Green Bay, Deebo Samuel, Devontae Adams, George Pickens, Mike Evans, Cooper Kupp, Brian Thomas Jr., the rookie, Chris Godwin, Amari Cooper, and I think it ends there. We did not sneak in Deontay Johnson. We didn't sneak him in.
We did not.
I would have.
It's fine. Okay. I just got tired of hitting 5 and didn't want to start the next tier, so I didn't know where to stop really. So we never get down to 36. So
No, that's a good. So Dave, out of those lists, because you did not rank, what stands out? Who's too low? Because I have a feeling you're going to tell me someone's too low.
Devontae Adams is way too low. He's
And
only
that's
30.
the guy we were going to talk about.
He's only 30. You guys are acting like he just died. I mean, I get
How did
that.
Dave know exactly what we were going to talk about?
Because that's absurd, and you know it. Like, you know,
well, it's
he's too low.
highlighted
Like,
too
I'm
on the list he's looking at. So
he's too low. I'm sorry. I mean, that's just the one that stands out the most to me that I see. So
the thing
I'll
is,
say that.
we're not talking about redraft though. We're talking about dynasty. So if you're drafting today, you're going to take who are you going to take Devontae Adams over?
I take him over a couple of these guys. I'll tell you who.
Are you taking him over Jordan Addison?
Yes.
Or Zay Flowers?
Yes.
Nico
JSN.
Collins?
Nico Collins, maybe. I don't know. That one's close because
Tank
he was
Dell.
so good. But probably, I don't know. Y'all have all three of those guys back to back to back.
Yeah,
somebody's going to fall off. That
was purposely done, by the way.
I'd probably take Devontae over Debo, over Jaden Reed, Jordan Addison, JSN, Flower. I mean, I'd move him up at least 5 or 6 spots.
I don't know. If we're talking about dynasty, like those are going to be studs. They're going into their second, maybe third year of the NFL. This is where they're going to start like actually producing. We talked about Justin Jefferson, how it doesn't matter who's throwing him the ball, but we found with the Raiders, it does matter who throws Devontae Adams the ball. Like, and who is going to throw that ball? Is it going to be Aiden O'Connell? Is it going to be Gardner Minshew? If it's going to be Gardner, then okay.
I like
Devontae Adams is way too low. Devontae should be like a top 10 wide receiver if Gardner's throwing the ball.
Okay, here's the bottom line, people. And Devontae Adams not dead. And this one strictly was age for me. It was strictly age and strictly because the production's there. He had 100 catches last year. He had 1,100 yards, which was his lowest yard count since 2019. That was his lowest yard countage. That's true. Lowest touchdown since 2019 as well. He only had 8. He's had double digits in 2020, 2021, and 2022. Very low yards per reception, 11.1. That is by far his lowest since 2015. So yes, he had 175 targets. Yes, he had 100 catches, but the production was barely there for Devontae Adams. I want to see more. Not many times do 32-year-old receivers. You said he's only 30, Dave. He's going to be 32 years old.
I was looking at the wrong. He's ranked 30th. For some reason, I thought that was his age.
Yeah, so he's going to be 32 going into the season or sniffing 32 years old. Let me ask you this. In Dynasty Leagues, Dave, how many people are buying Devontae Adams?
Nobody.
Nobody. And when you try to sell Devontae Adams, what are you going to get?
You're not going to get – you're going to have to hold him and hope he balls out, which he will. He'll have some big games and try to sell him if that's your plan.
And I took that into account in my rankings. I have him at 31. I'm like, okay – Dynasty wise, he's still a wide receiver 1 like for this season. I think he's going to produce. He's going to put up the numbers. He's going to demand the targets. But I like to bake in trade value into these rankings as well. And I like to bake in value, of course, because I don't think I could trade Devontae Adams for JSN right now. I don't think I can. I think people are going to hold on to JSN and hope for the best. That's just the way it is. Do I think Devontae Adams is going to finish wide receiver 31? No. But I don't think if I had Devontae Adams on my team, I'd be looking to sell him right now. And I think you would too. Because that's a smart thing to do. Correct?
Depending on your team.
Of course, depending on your team. But in general, that's what we would do. And I roster him in a few leagues, and I can't get rid of him. Nobody wants him. 1, because he's on the Raiders. 2, because of the quarterback situation, because people think that's so important. And 3, because he's 32 years old.
I think he's great buy low. If I could get him cheap, I would buy him in a second.
Yes. 1,000% agree with that. If I can get him cheap. But what's cheap?
I mean, I don't know. That's to be determined. But, I don't know. I don't know what's cheap. Would you trade a late first for him? Or early second? I would trade an early second for him in a second.
Depends what the early second is. Like 204?
202.
I would go mid second.
I would give 201. I would even give 201 probably for him. I might give 112. What's the difference? You know why? Well, first of all, we already know that if someone sees 112 versus 201, their difference, they think, oh my God, it's a second round pick. The difference is nothing. It's one pick.
I know.
I would give up 112 for him, honestly, because you're not going to get – I mean, I know this is a pretty good deep draft-ish, but, like,
I
The guy
think
at 112 for
I think
Devontae
down
Adams?
there right now we're looking at guys like Lad McConkey, Troy Franklin,
Yeah, like those
and
guys.
if somehow people are dumb, Roma Dunze maybe falling way down to the end of the first round. I would rather have those four. Maybe not Troy Franklin,
I was
actually.
gonna say this guy. I don't even know who Troy Franklin is. Is he? Isn't he the R&B singer? I'm glad you guys got that. Thank you.
Dave, I'm glad you're back, Dave. I'm so glad you are back on the show. So we're looking at okay. Look, I usually don't address comments now with our new format, by the way, but I have to address this comment. Josh Wingate in the chat about Devontae Adams. Then why are you trying to get rid of him when the value to keep is greater than the trade value? Did I read that right? Then why are you trying to get rid of him when the value to keep is greater than the value to trade?
Yeah, you should keep him. That's what we said.
Yeah, keep him because you can't get rid of him. That's the problem. When you roster a player you can't get rid of,
you keep him.
You have to hold on to him.
But then you realize you're in trouble.
It's like the guys who have Travis Kelce and only Travis Kelce right now, and that's
okay. Did I say this right? When you have a player on your roster that no longer holds value to trade, that's when you know you're in trouble. That's when you know the decline is real because no one's no longer interested in that player. So you have a declining asset on your roster that you can't get rid of no matter what. And now you're just stuck with them. The people with the Julio Jones of the world, the people with, I'm just trying to think of more players that just you couldn't trade to save your life. And that's the problem with Dynasty is you want to be able to move players and gain more assets. Now Devontae Adams is a losing asset on your team.
I think Devontae Adams is the guy who you should have tried to trade last year before the trade deadline, if there's a deadline, because his value is never going to get any higher than it is right now. And really, the only people that are going to be buying Devontae Adams are the guys who are competing, and they want that extra guy on their roster to win a championship. If you have him on a developing roster, get literally anything you can out of him. Because honestly, like he's not going to do anything for your roster this year, next year, or the year after. He might actually win you a game, a close game, which is going to screw up your draft position. So I'd be trying to get rid of him for developmental players or draft picks. Or
I have a question for you both. I think this is interesting. Why is Devontae Adams 7 spots lower than Stephon Diggs?
Why?
Yeah. Diggs is on a new team.
I can tell you
really good players, and he's almost that age where you want to get rid of him. So why? So if anything, you should be trading him now. If he's in the almost exact same spot that Devontae Adams is, so he should not be that much higher than.
He's not in the same spot. He's not.
He's close.
I could tell you the reason why I have him 11 spots higher than Devontae Adams, even though they're the same age.
Let's hear it.
The ability that
age are they?
They're both 30.
No, Adams is older.
Devontae Adams.
Right?
I'm sorry, Devontae Adams is 1 year older. Dave got me confused on the whole.
I know. I was thinking when I'm looking at your sheet, I said next time the only thing I would add is if you had age, that would be amazing. Because I keep looking at this number and I keep thinking it's
Dave always has requests.
Listen,
Dave always has requests.
Puts in no effort, but always wants more.
I'm saying if you get all this work, just add one more number right next to it. Then I can know. That's why I'm confused. That's it.
So
I'm confused.
I have Stephon over Devontae that much because who's on the Raiders right now? Michael Mayer? Like, who's their quarterback again? We just talked about that. Houston's at least got CJ Stroud. They also have Tank Dell and Nico Collins, which is going to pull coverages away from Stephon. We know why, like Kincaid, all those guys did really, really well because Stephon was pulling those guys away from them. They weren't getting double covered. Nobody's going to be doubling Stephon because if you double Stephon, you have Tank, you have Nico, you have other guys on the offense that's going to blow up on you, so you can't cover them all.
Also, nobody's trading for Devontae Adams in real life. People are trading for Stephon Diggs. He's wanted. He's a wanted asset. And I got to address this one in the chat one more time. The decline is real? 100 catches. Yes, Josh. Yes, he went from 25.6 points per game for fantasy, 21.5, 19.7, 15.6. Yes, the decline is real. What are you talking about, Josh? Wingate in the chat.
Lost 400 yards this year.
Yes, that's a huge decline. He went from 1,300, 1,500, 1,500 to 1,100. His yards per reception went from 12.6, 15.2, 11.1. His touchdowns, again, declined to the single digits.
He also lost 6 touchdowns this past year. And let's not forget that he had a 42-point game, which really helped it out his entire fantasy season.
Up there in
Early.
Delaware, do they not understand declines in Delaware? Do they not understand going down? I mean, I don't understand. You guys need a better school system if that's the case. But go back on Stephon Diggs. He's wanted. He's younger. He's motivated.
First of all, you hate Diggs. What are you talking about?
I do hate Diggs.
Okay,
I don't
so
hate
loves
Diggs.
Diggs
I don't hate
now.
Diggs. I don't hate Diggs. I don't hate Diggs. I don't hate
said
no
he's the wide
players.
receiver 3 on his own team. That's what you said. You want me to pull it up in the chat because I remember it.
Well, where did I rank him? Where did I rank him?
Receipts. Send me that receipt. I'll throw it on the screen.
I threw Tank Dell as a 1, Diggs as a 2, and Nico as 3. You know why I put Nico as 3? Because before all this was happening, right after the Super Bowl, when people were doing stupid startups, and Nico Collins was a top 5 receiver being drafted, I was laughing at people. I was laughing at everyone. Like, what are we doing? Nico was trash half the year.
By the way, I love this trade for Diggs, especially with the new contract being reconstructed. He's gonna want to go nuts.
Oh my
So
God,
he can
this
get
is
paid next. It was the best thing to happen to him. I hope.
How did they
everybody
just
does
go like, we don't care about your last 3 years?
He's
this is your final
a
year.
top 10 receiver. I don't care what nobody says this year, and he's only 29. He should be at. He's way too low on this list too, to be honest.
Speaking of Diggs, Dell, and Nico Collins, let's transition to tier 4.
You're welcome.
Before we get into tier 4, guys, I just want to remind you guys, if you're watching live on YouTube, make sure you hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. If you're a podcast listener, make sure you go to our YouTube page at Finstock Sports Network or our OUSFF pod on YouTube. Either one works. Subscribe. We put up shorts. So if you don't want to watch the long form, the full 30 or 45 minutes to an hour, we do put up discussions short term that way. Just make sure you guys know that. We are talking tier 4. We have Tank Dell, Stephon Diggs, and Nico Collins back to back. Just because that's the fun thing to do. That is literally the funnest thing to do when you have 3 great receivers or 2 good running backs on the same team. You got to put them back to back.
You guys realize that 3 guys aren't going to finish top 24, right? It's like statistically almost impossible.
You don't know that. What if CJ Stroud throws for 8,000 yards?
It could happen, but I'm willing to take that bet. That doesn't happen.
This isn't finish.
To be fair, only Josh. I'm sorry. Okay, Jacob also did put them back to back. I have Nico at 28 and Stephon at 20 and Tank at 23, which honestly, that's probably flipped.
Yeah,
it's just an average. That's the thing. It's averaged out to just be back to back.
Like, yeah.
So let's talk about the rest of tier 4 here, where we got Jordan Addison at 27, Jackson Smith and Najigba at 26, Zay Flowers at 25. I feel like those 3 wide receivers are supposed to be the future of the wide receiver position, but I think it's going to be this class coming up. You got Nico Collins at 24, Stephon 23, Tank at 22, Rashee Rice at 21. We'll see how that is going to change soon. DK Metcalf at 20, Rome Odunze at 19, and T. Higgins at 18.
Disrespect. The disrespect on T. Higgins'
16.
name. The disrespect that you guys continue. And I'm not talking Justin or Jacob. I'm talking the whole community. This guy's going to be an elite number 1 receiver wherever he gets traded to. And I don't want to hear all that nonsense. This guy was banged up. Injury after injury after injury last season. And all he did was produce when he showed up on the field. He started off week 1 with a big fat 0. We all remember. Then he got hurt his ribs, missed a lot of games. He tried to tough it through. But when he was full healthy, the guy took over. The guy was a game changer. You cannot dispute that. So if he's a 1, Dave.
Don't make me go look at these receipts from last year because I don't have those too.
What receipts?
Oh, yeah, exactly.
What receipts? Well, I gave up on him.
He's trash. Yes.
Dave.
You just made 15,000 excuses for him. It's always an excuse with T. Higgins. Always. He's hurt. Jason's the number 1, so now he's the number 2. He can't do – it's always something. I think he's a great receiver. I do. But for some reason, he's not consistent. He's just not. You can't sit there and tell me he's consistent because he's not. Like, I don't know what you want me to tell you. He'll have a huge game and he's awesome. And I watched him against Minnesota freaking moss the crap out of 3 DBs like they were just standing still. He's awesome, but he is so inconsistent, and you don't want that on your fantasy team. I'm sorry, you just don't. I love him in real life. I think he's great in real life. I think he's a great player in real life. He doesn't always put up the numbers because I don't know why. He's just something's wrong with him. So don't tell me he's underrated or overrated.
I think T is the classic, like, very solid wide receiver 2. That's the thing, but he wants to be wide receiver 1, which I don't think he's gonna get that contract anywhere. He's not gonna get that kind of playing time. Like, he's not gonna be wide receiver 1. He's never put up wide receiver 1 numbers, even when Chase is hurt. He is a wide receiver 2. He's never had a top 12 finish in fantasy.
I mean, he's a great fantasy wide receiver 2. I think in real life he could be a wide receiver 1 on a team if he gets the right chance. I would love to see him go somewhere where he could be the receiver 1. He's still young enough to where he could be awesome. At this point, I'm just like, dude, is he ever going to put it together? Because every season it seems like there's something going on to where you're like, this guy again. You know what I mean? I don't know.
He is the most frustrating receiver to roster out of this entire. I just can't quit him. You know how many Dave, you know, Justin, you should know by now. I roster him in way too many leagues. I'm a huge T. Higgins guy. And last year, my hateful comments about T. Higgins was emotional. And I have finally, I've healed. Time heals all. And I am ready to love again. And I will be drafting a lot of T. Higgins on my teams. And I'll be trying to trade for him low because clearly everyone's very low on him. I'm not just Justin and Jacob, but PF Fantasy Pros and many other outlets out there. I'm at 14. I'm clearly the highest on him. I'm probably out of anyone in the industry. Nobody's higher than me on T. Higgins.
That's high. That's high. I you know who he's a lot like? He's a lot like DK Metcalf. They both have big games and then they both disappear a lot. They're the same. They're similar.
I 1000% agree with you.
By the way, Rashee Rice should be ahead of half of these guys. I don't care if they're going to play.
Okay, we're going to talk about that. We'll talk about it. Okay, we're not going to talk about it. Justin didn't want to talk about it. I don't want to talk.
I don't care if we talk about it. We don't know enough information. That's the thing. He has an arrest warrant out now. There is potential time he's going to have to serve, but my question is how much does the NFL crack down on him once they know everything?
I don't care if he gets suspended. It's his dynasty. He's 20. He's young and he looked super awesome. He's got Patrick Mahomes. I love everything about that.
Do the Chiefs keep him? That's the real question. He's a great player, but so was Kareem Hunt, and they cut him.
Yeah, well, Kareem Hunt beat a woman or got kicked a woman or whatever he did. That's a little different. I don't know unless nobody
Rice could have killed somebody. Right? I mean, Rice could have literally killed somebody.
But you know the difference between guys actually getting killed and women beaters and they're trying to crack. I don't know. This to me, I would take Rice over DK, over Odunze, over Higgins, probably DJ Moore, although that one's close. I mean, I'd move him up a few spots myself just because I'm tired of Higgins. I'm tired of DK. The rookie Odunze, it depends on where he goes. I think Rice, assuming everything, he doesn't go to jail or anything like that, which I doubt is going to happen. He gets suspended for a couple games, whatever. I'm fine with that. I love him in that offense. He looked awesome as a rookie. That doesn't happen very often. So that's the kind of guy I want on my team.
When I put Rashee Rice at 23, my first thoughts was, are they going to cut ties with him? Because again, like Justin said, they would lose nothing over it. They just signed Marquise Brown, Hollywood Brown. It's not a big needle mover, but it's something better than what they had. I believe that Hollywood Brown can fill somewhat of a void if they do lose Rice for a while. And then the draft is coming up and they can make some moves. And obviously there's still things that can happen. In my entire history of playing Dynasty or regular fantasy football, Dave knows because I played with him my entire life. When something happens, whether it be Tyreek Hill breaking his son's arm and telling his wife or girlfriend he's going to kill her or whatever, or Ray Rice or any situation legally, I get rid of that player immediately. I've done it every single year. Tyreek Hill, I traded him for peanuts because I thought he was pretty much done. I was wrong every single time. The NFL does not care.
Thank you. Thank
The
you.
NFL
That's all I'm saying.
They do not care about. They say they care. They do not care.
They don't.
If they truly cared, Deshaun Watson would not be playing football. If they truly cared, many players would not be playing football. They don't care. So Rashee
You're
Rice
good. You're going to be on a team. I'm sorry. Look at Antonio Brown.
Yes.
It literally took him walking off the field for him to, like, for some team not to want him anymore. Like, if you can play football, you're going to be able to play, unless you literally run somebody over like freaking Ruggs did and kill somebody, or beat a woman and it's on video. Like, you're going to be fine. Like, these guys.
Even if you do.
Then you still come back. That's what I'm saying. Like,
Joe Mixon.
They all come back.
Joe Mixon hit a woman in the face and did not care.
Punched her like a dude.
And everyone forgets about it and said, oh, yeah, Joe Mixon's awesome. People forget about these things. It happens all the time. The NFL, fans, fantasy analysts, fantasy content creators, they all want to go up and roll when it happens. Oh, but guess what? Time heals all. Everything happens. And then guess what? It's over. We have these players. You buy them low. It is what it is. It happens every single year with at least one or two players. It's going to happen with Rashee Rice. People are going to sell low. People are going to buy low. And it's going to pay off.
Yeah, it's absolutely. And then he's the thing is, he's probably not even going to miss any time this year because it always takes so long for all these investigations and things to happen. It'll be next year. He'll miss, 4-game suspension.
Look what Kamara did.
Yeah.
Damn, you killed a guy.
These guys, it doesn't matter. Like, I'm sorry. And the Chiefs, I don't think they're going to get rid of him. Nobody died. And I don't, what he did was dumb. I don't know the whole, maybe he was drunk, maybe he was high. Who knows what was going on, but nobody died, thankfully. You know what I mean? It's going to be okay. Like, he's going to get arrested or whatever's going to happen. It's going to happen. He's going to get a slap on the wrist. They all do, since nobody died. He'll miss a couple of games in a suspension, barely in a year, and then it won't matter. In 3 years, nobody will even remember this happened. Like, it's just the truth.
Yep. There we go. I'm glad we're in sync with that, but I do have him too low. I probably will bump him up a little bit. It's just
FYI.
Let's talk about his actual like football chances though, because even if we forget about all the legal things, which is kind of the reason why I've completely skipped over him and ignored him today. What are the chances the Chiefs actually draft a wide receiver in the first round to pair up, and he's much better, and Rashee Rice becomes wide receiver 2, target number 3 on the Chiefs offense?
It could happen. First of all, real quick, I was just looking for Hollywood Brown. How is he ranked 45th? How is he behind some of these guys? I don't understand it. That's way.
He can't stay on the field. He can't stay on the field, and I don't want him. I was a big Hollywood guy, Dave. I am. He cannot stay on the field. 2 years in a row.
You talk about T. Higgins, who you love, and that guy's always hurt. Like, that guy's always got some kind of injury. And then Marquise Brown, now he's playing with Patrick Mahomes, the best deep ball thrower probably in the league. And that's all they're going to need. Go do streaks. You got Kelsey underneath who they can't cover, and you got Rice who can do everything. Like, I love this. Yeah, they still might draft a receiver. I think they have bigger needs, but they could do that.
Look,
I'm pretty sure Brown was.
We're not talking Hollywood Brown right now, but I love the guy, but he cannot prove to me you can stay on the field, and then I'll invest in you. Seriously.
That's the lie, because you just proved it by talking about T. Higgins.
T. Higgins, but he plays through it. Hollywood's like, oh, I got a broken pinky.
That's even worse. I would rather him miss time than come and play for me and get me 2 points.
What's
worse?
T. Higgins has missed a total of 7 games in his entire career.
Yeah,
and he's always hurt.
5 of which were last year. So how is he
look
always
at
hurt?
the games that he's always hurt. He's always nicked up, and he's always
nicked up.
He doesn't miss games. He plays through them, but he gets like 3 catches for 30 yards.
He's always nicked up, and it's really annoying because you have that, like, oh, do I start him? Do I play him? But Hollywood Brown, there's no option. He's just on my IR.
I would rather
he's
be
always
out
on my IR.
Left through the game.
Whatever. We're not talking T. Higgins or Rashee Rice. Who are we talking? Oh, if they get a receiver, yeah, that's the thing. If they do get a receiver or whoever, yes, Rashee Rice's value does get bumped down a little bit. What are the odds they do that though? What are the odds?
I mean, they've proven they literally only need Patrick Mahomes and a defense to win a Super Bowl. So
the GOAT right there. All right, let's get into tier 3. Oh, tier 3 is fun. We're going to talk about a rookie, and we're going to talk about Devontae Smith, but also we're going to talk about Chris Olave, Puka Nacua, Jalen Waddle, Malik Neighbors, Devontae Smith, Michael Pittman Jr., Brandon Ayuk, Drake London, and DJ Moore. Where do you want to start?
I am completely. I don't even know because I keep focusing down on this stupid ticker and I got the numbers all wrong, so I'm all out of whack here. Yeah, let's talk about Devonta Smith.
Let's talk about him.
This is I think the only one here in this entire range that we are so different on him all across the board. You have him at 12. I've got him at 14. Jacob's got him at 11. He's not here to defend himself. And Fantasy Pros has him at 16. So are we just high on Devonta Smith and Fantasy Pros is like screw Devonta Smith, or what's going on here? Because he's on probably one of the better offenses in the league, paired up with AJ Brown, who takes a lot of his targets away from him. This is a player that he's still young. It's really curious as to why he is at 13.
You want my opinion? This is just
Yeah,
my opinion.
we always want your opinion, Dave.
His upside is limited because of AJ Brown, so he'll probably never be a top 10 receiver. I think I would take. I would 100% take Brandon Ayuk over him. I would take DJ Moore's close. London, I have not been a big fan of, but I think Cousins really, really helps him. And even Pittman, I think Pittman and Smith are really, really close. So I think that probably knocked him down 2 or 3 spots just for me. And I think his upside is limited because of AJ Brown. AJ Brown is the alpha there. He's the number 1 guy. We saw what he did last year. He was awesome. Hurts wasn't amazing. And I think that's probably why others would have him probably ranked a little bit lower. Okay.
Josh?
Can you talk, Justin?
It's your turn. Yeah. You do raise valid points here all around. I mean, we've got other tight end too. Well, I mean, we have like Puka up here. He's a tight end, or he's a wide receiver 2 on his own team. He's in the top 10. It looks like Dave's connection finally cut out on him officially here. But DJ Moore, yeah, it's an interesting mix there because DJ Moore, is he a wide receiver 1? Is he a wide receiver 2 on the Bears offense now? What is that Bears offense going to look like with Caleb Williams there?
I'm not gonna lie.
So there's a lot to DJ Moore being at 17. There's a lot on that offense. So he might be low, he might be high. I think he's right about where he needs to be at right now, and we'll adjust that from there. But Devonta Smith has always been a weird one. Finishes wide receiver 19 last year, wide receiver 9 the year before.
9, really?
Yeah.
But there was no AJ Brown there the year before, though, right?
There you go. That's right. I forgot about that.
And you know what else limited Devontae Smith's upside?
It was. Yes, it was. AJ Brown.
He was. Yeah, he was there. I know he was there.
Oh, he was there. Okay.
Yeah, that was his first
Yeah,
year.
I was about to say he was there. But everyone wants to talk about the tush push is going to go away because Kelsey's retired and yada, yada, yada. More touchdown productions for you. Listen, Devontae Smith is young. Do we think that they can afford AJ Brown and Devontae Smith? We've seen a lot of teams lose their receivers, and receivers are moving places left and right. Who's to say Devontae Smith doesn't go find himself in Kansas City? Who doesn't see? I don't know when he's a free agent. Maybe I should have done my research. Maybe I should have done if we had a producer to give me that
Probably
information.
in 2 years.
Exactly. Who's to say he doesn't move on and be somewhere else? And I have him ranked this high because I do think he's awesome. And I do think if he lands up where he is the wide receiver 1 or gets more attention, he can excel because we've seen it before. You know, I wasn't a big thing like, oh, Devontae Smith, he's so small, he's so tiny. I've seen him play, and the guy's money. Like, the guy can move. The guy can do whatever he wants. I have Drake London right below him at 13. London really hasn't proved himself to be an elite receiver yet. We'll see what he does with Kirk Cousins. I did that strictly on what he's going to do. T. Higgins at 14, we already talked about him. I'm too high on him, but I still have Smith over him. 15, Michael Pittman Jr. Again, I think Pittman Jr. has limited upside in that offense. So what I did is I went down my list, and I'm like, Devontae Smith has done it, and he can do it. Where these other guys that I'm talking about, maybe Ayuk is where I am wrong on. But again, if Ayuk doesn't get traded, you got CMC and you got Debo, you got so many other people there.
I love Ayuk. Dude, he just had 1,300 yards with all those guys there.
Of course he did. Yes, of course he did. But we've seen Devontae Smith. He could also do that as well.
I love Devontae Smith. I agree. I would probably only move him down below Ayuk and Drake London, not more. More is a little bit older.
Yeah, and
he's
so
close.
It's just hard to rank him because of his situation, because of his quarterback situation, because of the offense they like to run. They like to run the ball. They just acquired Saquon Barkley. Is he going to take a lot of touches away? Is he going to take receptions away? He does catch the ball out of the backfield. I don't know if y'all heard that, but he does do that. It's just going to be an interesting situation. It depends on neighbors. It depends on Adunes. Like, are these rookies going to overpass him? That's what I'm looking at. Because I don't think Higgins will. I don't think Ayuk will. I don't think London will. So my thing is, if I'm wrong on this, and if he doesn't finish like consistently top 12 later on in his career, like in the next 3 years, it's because these rookies are overtaking him. That's all.
So Devonta Smith is in his contract year, so he could have a 5th year picked up after this season, which I think they have to announce before the season. So that'll be found out pretty quickly. I'm sure Josh Wingate in the chat will probably tell us whether we're right or wrong about that. But the Eagles are only paying him $5 million roughly, whereas next year they have to pay him a lot more. So if they keep him, or he can be a unrestricted free agent and test the market. So we'll definitely see what happens with Devonta Smith. But this is a contract year technically, so he might actually try to ball out.
There you go. Contract year. And then what if he gets signed somewhere else? And
He'll
again,
never see free agency. He'll be like T. They'll franchise tag him and trade him if they have to.
Well, that's the thing is like they don't even have to franchise tag him this year. They just pick up.
Yeah, of the 5th year option. Exactly.
Yeah, and then franchise tag him. And then,
yeah, he's there for a couple of years at least.
Yeah.
Can we talk about Waddle before we log off?
I don't know what to do with Waddle. You got him right in the spot, but I'm like, do I move him up? Probably not. Can I move him down? Probably not. So he's probably ranked right.
Is there a more annoying receiver though than Jalen Waddle? I'm just gonna say that.
That's why I just said I don't know what to do with it.
I don't know what to do with Waddle either. Like, I don't want to move him any further down because then I'm an idiot, but I don't want to move him any higher up because I don't know what to do with Waddle. That the Dolphins, you know more than anybody. I mean, they have Tyreek Hill, they have got Jalen Waddle, they now have our boy Johnny Smith. They got that
Wait
running
till that
game.
tight end show, baby. Wait till
Like,
that tight end show.
What do we do with Jalen Waddle at this point? We have him right there in the middle, 10, 11, 10, and 12.
Listen, I don't even think McDaniels and the Miami Dolphins know what to do with Jalen Waddle. It seems like he's just disappeared. It's all Tyreek. And if it's not Tyreek, it's Jalen Waddle dropping a ball, or it's Jalen Waddle catching a ball, extended, getting hit in the ribs, falling down, getting hurt, missing 2 drives, coming back in the game, limping off the field. That's Jalen Waddle in a nutshell last year. Dropping balls, getting hurt.
He had a lot of decent like flex number games. He only had 4 games under 10 points, but he missed 3, including week 8. So he missed 2, but he still finished wide receiver 34 after finishing wide receiver 8 the previous season.
Exactly.
So everybody drafted him after having wide receiver 13, wide receiver 8. You're expecting him to be top 5, and then he drops to 34. We were drafting him in what, the 3rd round last year?
Waddle
second
was
round?
30, wide receiver 34 last year.
Yeah, he had
wide receiver 34.
I know he wasn't good, but holy crap, I didn't realize he was that bad.
Horrible year.
And honestly, if he didn't put up numbers against the Jets, he had put up 28 points against the Jets and 25 against New England. Get rid of those 2 games, and he's even worse.
Horrible. That's all I can say. Is horrible. Awful.
He's no Brandon Ayuk.
You know what? I guess he's not. I guess he's no Brandon Ayuk at all.
Jalen is another person I think is also coming on his 5th year option. So this could be final season. Yeah. So was he a 1st round? Yeah. So this could be final season in Miami.
And Chase.
They cannot.
All went the same year.
They cannot afford to lose Jalen Waddle.
I mean, could you? I mean, you could draft a replacement this year.
Jalen Waddle,
the wide receiver class is that deep.
Let's be honest here. Tyreek Hill demanded all those targets. He wanted 2,000 yards. They knew it. That's the problem with McDaniels. But this is a whole other topic for the Fins Talk Sports Network on a different Dolphin show. Tyreek wanted to break 2,000 yards, so they did everything possible to make that happen, and they ignored the other offensive players. They ignored Jalen Waddle. So there was games where he just wasn't getting targeted, and it was all Tyreek. It was nice. They were winning games, but that was the problem. They cannot afford to get rid of Jalen Waddle. He's just as fast. He's just as dynamic. He could be put in the same spot. Of course, he's not the same player as Tyreek. Tyreek's is a one-on-one. There's no one going to be like Tyreek ever again. But Jalen Waddle is an elite receiver, can be a number one. If Miami loses him, I might just quit being a fan. I love Waddle that much. That's probably why he's 10 for me.
I mean, I get it. I'm a homer too. So
Dave knows. If they lose Jefferson, like he'd be crying, and I don't blame him.
The Vikings will probably do some dumb shit like that. That's all they ever do.
That's all they ever do.
Fucking trade great receivers every other year.
Yes. But that's gonna wrap up the show, guys. I am going to get out of here. Justin's gonna get out of here. Dave's gonna get out of here. We're gonna be talking tight ends next week, and it's not gonna last long. So we'll probably get into some trivia, maybe play some games. Maybe we'll have some topics about that. I don't know. But next. If you're watching, make sure you hit that like, subscribe, alert, yada. Follow us on Twitter. But more importantly, go to our website, ousffpod.com. Sign up for the Super League. If you're into it, be a fun time, help charity, help kids,